Hello, everybody. It's June 3rd, 2020. We're in some interesting times here. So I want to talk about racism. I want to talk about police. I want to talk about some of the forces that are being exacted on society right now. I want to talk about capitalism, wealthy people who control everything, and the shift that's happening here. First of all, in my journal many years ago, I wrote the following. Capitalism has a shelf life. When the gap between the wealthy, the ultra wealthy, and everybody else gets too big, then the system implodes. I believe this is what we're seeing right now. History has shown us that empires last approximately 10 generations, which is roughly 250 years. And then the gap between the ultra wealthy and everyone else gets so great that the people revolt. And this is really what's happening globally. This is my opinion, but if you do some research, you'll find plenty of research to support this. Now, I've toiled over racism my whole life. I've lived in the inner city where I was the minority. I've lived in the suburbs where I was the majority. I've observed behaviors of different cultures, and we all every culture has certain things that are, common in certain cultures. But racism does exist. It always has since time began. I believe this is a fundamental human flaw that we all have. When I was in grammar school, I was an obese kid. Ridiculed, made fun of, bullied because I was fat and I looked different than all the other kids. I remember even in high school, one of my dear friends had really bad acne and he was made fun of in high school. White kids ridiculing a white kid with bad acne. My real estate partner, she's from Mexico City and her daughter looks a lot like her. She's been had a problem in school because she looked different too. So it's out there. And unfortunately, it's always going to be out there. There's always going to be some form of racism. It's just in us. But there's something we can do about it. But right now, the problem we're having, racism is just the surface. That's the flashpoint. We have deeper, darker forces working right now. And I want to point them out to you. I want you guys to do your research because at the end of the game, unless we come together as a people, the bad forces are going to overthrow us. We're going to be even in worse shape than we are. So there's another kind of racism. To me, it's called white privilege. I've been accused of having white privilege and this and that. So here's what I could say. I have no right to tell a black person, I know what it's like to be you. I can't. That's how I resolve that. I've never walked in this country as a black person. I have no flipping idea what it is like to be black. So I shouldn't make any representations that I know. Nor should anyone make representations who's not white about white privilege. So we need to really retire that, just conceptually. Let's just say there is racism, okay? And it isn't going to go away, but we gotta work together, and here's why. First of all, I support the police. They have a really tough job these days, but I do believe police should be ultra qualified, and they shouldn't make some of the mistakes that are made. So what we saw with Mr. Floyd, it looked really bad. So there's got to be maybe a better way to train them, to vet them before they become cops. I don't know. But I love my police. I support them 100%. But there's going to be a few bad eggs. We need to figure out a way to get the bad eggs out. That's my opinion on that. I support my police. So when we see these riots and stuff like that and the looting, that enrages people. It enrages people, and it creates more racism. Okay. Now, I'm all about social discourse. I want people to stand up for their rights, and I want it to be effective. Rioting and looting is not effective. And it happens every time. Every single time we have a flare-up, rioting and looting. Well, why does that continue to happen? And why does it get worse and worse? Well, there's other forces that are working to make sure that we have rioting and looting and burning down and people getting shot and people getting beat up and all this crazy stuff. I'm going to name a few organizations that are actively involved in these riots, the looting, the burning, the beating. Communist Party USA, Liberation Road, Socialist Alternative, Workers' World Party, Party for Socialism and Liberation, Socialist Unity Party, Revolutionary Communist Party, and then you have Black Lives Matter and Antifa. Those are fronts, my friends. There's a bunch more. But these organizations, and you can do your own research on this, they want to incite the riots because they want to overthrow our government. They want a different system of things. So while we're battling this racism issue, you have all these other sharks swimming in the water. They're all out there. They're breaking windows, they're setting fire to things, and they're getting people riled up. They want racism. The system, who's in control of the system, wants racism. Okay? We must understand that now. We also, when we're in a weakened state like this, we have the actual communist parties watching us. We have communist China watching us. They're looking for openings and gaps where they can wedge in and leverage. We also have criminal elements like cartels and things like that. They're also wedging in. They're watching for weakness and they're wedging in. We are like our society, our American culture is like a wounded buffalo on the African plain. With all the predators like the jackals, the hyenas, the vultures, the lions, they're all taking bits and chunks out of our flesh, out of our republic. That's what's happening right now. This is not an accident, my friends. This is done by design. So who is fueling all of these groups? Well, again, you can do your own research. It's the ultra wealthy. The ultra wealthy. And why would the ultra wealthy be doing this? The ultra wealthy, they want to keep us weak because we are the ones that feed them. Everything we do, all of our labor, all of our money, through tax dollars, it all gets kicked up. And if you don't believe that's happening, let's look at the coronavirus. I already shared a video. My whole family got it, and only one person got the flu and got sick. The rest of us, it came and went. All tested positive, all tested negative. It was nothing, okay? I'm not saying the flu's nothing. I'm just saying we closed down our society for a bad flu. And I already went over this, so I'm not going to go over it again. But the shift that happened was the large retailers like Costco, Walmart, Target, they stayed open and everybody else went out of business. Do you see what the shift there? The rich just got richer and we just got poorer and we just got weaker. And now, ironically, right as we're coming off the flattening of the curve, we are having riots in every city. It's a perfect plan. It's a perfect plan to keep us weak. And guess what? As soon as this stuff subsides, something else will happen. So my friends, we must wake up. We must understand that there are dark forces at work here. And the only hope we have is to come together as a people. And we have to make a stand against these dark forces, these hate groups, the ultra wealthy. We have to regain our power. If we don't come together, then we're going to kill each other. It's already happening. We will literally have a civil war and we will kill each other. That's what's happening right now. We are on the cusp, the very cusp. So, empires, the history has shown us, last about 10 generations, 250 years. And then the gap between the wealthy and everybody else gets too big, as I've said, and the system implodes. We're right about the 250-year mark. So we have a lot of forces trying to tear us up. The only thing we have left is each other. We need to band together. We need to get over ourselves. We need to stop looking at each other with a twisted eye because we look different or because of our skin color. I don't want to hear no white privilege. I don't want to hear black people this, black people that. Fuck that. We're all the same, my friends. We are all the same. And if we don't band together and unite ourselves, just like that buffalo on the African plain, we're going to get chewed apart. And we're going to be in some dark times. So my plea is try and get over any racist bias you have. For the sake of us as a society, we need to come together. I cannot emphasize that enough. I'll welcome your comments. I would love to have conversations with you, especially if you have a counterpoint. I want to know the counterpoints because my medium-sized brain, I can't figure everything out. All I know is these riots, they're done by design. There's some bad people in there. There's some opportunists. There's people in there who are stealing because they don't have any money. Think about that as a system problem. There's homeless people in there that are looting also, that don't have anything to eat. There's a lot of angles in, but there's bad forces and there's bad people. We need to come together and we need to fight this. We need to fight the racism. That's the surface flashpoint. And then we need to dig deep and plan ourselves so we don't let these other forces continue on in their way. My friends, I love you all. I'm thinking, I'm writing, I'm talking with my brain trusts. I need your input. I need your brains. We need to come together. We need to unite. And, we need to hold it together. I love you all. I may be off of Facebook for a while because of these crazy times we're in. But for now, let's keep this conversation going.